Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by Red Wing Shoes, located in the shops at Centerpoint in Grand Rapids at the corner of 28th Street and the Beltline. The store has everything you need for the worksite or the woods. Stop in or check them out online at redwingshoes.com. And by Mr. Muskie Charters, offering full-service guided fishing trips for walleye, muskie, bass, and sturgeon on Lake St. Clair and the Detroit and St. Clair Rivers. Booking information is online at mrmuskiecharters.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson and we've got an awesome show for you this week. We'll start out by taking you over to the east side of the state to the shores of the St. Clair River. We're going to be targeting walleyes, yes that's right, from the shore. We'll show you a few different techniques on how you can do that. You won't want to miss it. And Jimmy's got some other outdoor adventures in store for us this week too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have a couple more things on this week's show. I'm going to take us down to the Kalamazoo River and some of its bayous to do a little bass fishing down there, but it's really techniques that would work just about anywhere here in the state of Michigan. Then we're going to head over to the east side of the state to Williams Gun Site and learn about some things that we can be doing this time of year to get our firearms ready for the upcoming big game season. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's meat processor and Michigan destination since 1988. Offers a variety of homemade smoked meats and Michigan-made products in-store and online. The Country Smokehouse features an outdoor barbecue and bar. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By Grilla Grills of Holland, Michigan, makers of wood pellet, charcoal grills, and professional pellet smokers. Grilla Grills are designed for ease of use to improve your grilling and smoking skills. More information at grillagrills.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons, a mid-Michigan company building boats for fishermen by fishermen. AnglerQuest Pontoons are designed for comfort and functionality. On the web at anglerquestpontoons.com.
Soaking in the rich tradition of Michigan hunting for over 30 years, Vanguard is proud to sponsor our friends at Michigan Out of Doors TV.
This looks like some pretty high-stress fishing.
It is very relaxing.
Yeah?
Yes.
So tell me what's going on, Bridget.
We are just waiting for the fish to start hitting.
Yeah?
Yes.
That easy, huh?
That easy. We're
Yeah.
hoping.
Cool. You're the guy that knows what's going on around here?
Nah, no. Guy that comes down and fishes with my buddy here, Rick, on the dock. Rick does a lot of fishing on the dock. There's a lot going on. And in the area here at St. Clair River, a lot of guys fishing the docks don't know quite exactly what they're got going on and how good they got it. So tonight we're going to show you a few different ways to fish off the dock. There's a slide line in there. You got your night crawlers, you got your jigging, and for the night's over, we'll show you how to do all these.
Oh, nice.
And hopefully we produce some fish for you.
And the walleye are just
The walleye have been really good right now. The walleye's been really good this time of year.
Walleye are standard fare here on the St. Clair River, and there's always a chance to hook up with a steelhead out here too. Bob caught this gorgeous steely just a few minutes before I got here with the camera, so they saved it to show me before releasing it. We were fishing from a private dock tonight, but this type of fishing is available anywhere there's public access to the river. The guys ran through a few of their favorite presentations.
This one here is what we call, all I do is you got 2 3-way swivels hooked to this, one down lower, one up above. I'm running a lead with a double 2 snelled hooks on it with the crawler. And all we're doing is just throwing this out and letting it set. These crawlers are setting the current. I just call this noodle rod because what I like to use is like a 9-foot noodle rod. I got 8-pound Power Pro on here with a 4-ounce sinker, and the reason being is in the current, When you use heavy line, the current pulls it down. You got to use big sinkers. This way, with the current, nothing catches it, and you can use a little lighter sinker. Okay. That's how this works.
Next, Rick would show us his go-to style of fishing out here.
So what I have is a light, fast-action rod. I got about 8-pound mono line, and I have an 8-ounce triangle sinker. So we have a current here, right here, about 3 miles an hour. We're on the inside bend of the river up here, so it's kind of nice. The river bends, the current kind of breaks over to the Canadian side, so we're just on the inside bend of that, and it gives the fish a little bit of a break. And the dock is right at the drop-off, so it goes from about 8 feet to about 20 feet right here. So we're right on the edge, which is nice. So the conditions here are pretty nice. So what I'm running right now is a light flutter lure. It's an Eppinger Evil Eye. It's about 1/6 of an ounce. So with that current, it'll flutter. So it's a real light spoon. So what you want to try to get a light or a flutter spoon, and then about a foot above that, or 16 inches, I have this bead. So this bead acts as a stop for my second lure that I put on after I cast it out. I'll cast it out, hit bottom, get a tight line, and then I'll put a body bait on it, which I'll either use a small bomber or a bomber long A. On my slip line, I have about a 12-pound fluoro leader with just on the body bait. You want to use just a simple snap, something as light as you can so it doesn't inhibit the action of the lure. So on the other end of this fluorocarbon leader, I have just a standard snap swivel with a 1/2-ounce sinker, and then that'll help. Once I get a tight line, I'll attach the snap swivel onto the line and let it go down into the water. It'll come down and hit this bead, and then I'll have the two baits out there together. One spoon, which has a live flutter action, and then the body bait right above it, just behind it. So it's kind of giving the fish a choice of what they want. It's a pretty effective year-round method of fishing. It's my favorite method. I use it for walleye all year. In the spring, when the silverfish come in, I use it for steelhead, kings, the coho. I just use a heavier tackle. I'll use a heavier action pole, heavier line, heavier leaders. But it's a great technique for fishing. If you're in a river, really anywhere where you have current, it's a great technique, and it's fun. So cast it, and then I'll just close my bail, get a tight line, and then put it in the pole holder. So this is the slide line, or the second leader. It's a little bit longer. The spoon is about 18 inches. This one is 4 to 5 feet. So then, again, you cast the pole out, you get your tight line, and then you'll just put the snap swivel right on the line, little 1/2-ounce sinker.
This goes on that same setup we just did.
Same one, yep. So this is going to go down. The little 1/2-ounce sinker will take it down with the current. It'll hit that bead, and then it'll just stop and stay out there with the spoon. And
this is another thing we like to do around here. It's pretty plentiful here, but if you put some rods in the water just with minnows on it, you can catch these things all day long too off the dock. So there's a lot of perch in the water here that guys don't realize they can catch them. All this is a matter of just throwing a pole off. All you got is a simple perch rig and a couple minnows.
Fun. So Bridget, you're in your wheelhouse now. Is this your game here?
This is my game.
All right, tell me what you're doing.
Well, I just have a finesse with a jig head, and I'm just throwing it out there and bouncing off the bottom and hoping I get me a big walleye.
Are you slowly retrieving it in, or you just jig it out in one spot?
I jig it out, let it hit the bottom, and then I just keep bouncing, reel it in a little bit at a time.
Okay.
Rick says Bridget used to ask for kitchen gadgets for Christmas, and now that they've discovered this awesome fishery in their own backyard, she's hooked. Now her Christmas list is nothing but fishing gear. As the sun went down, the fishing started to pick up.
See Bridget's on the bottom. Get ready. I'm going to bring him up. Hang on. I'll bring him your way. Okay, get ready.
There we go. Nice.
I don't know if that's paper.
All right, so which setup was that on?
That was on the night crawler on the three-way swivel.
Okay.
As Bob and Bridget were landing the fish that hit the setup with the crawlers, Rick connected with one on a jig. As the sun goes down, they'll leave the other presentations out there in the rod holders and start jigging the walleyes too. Rick talked about why the fishing is so good in this area of the state.
We're about 3 miles south of Lake Huron, where it empties into the St. Clair River. We have an awesome fishery here, year-round. This time of the year, it's mostly migrating walleye. We do have a resident walleye population that stays year-round. For the next couple weeks, we'll be getting migratory walleye, and then it'll slow down a little bit. Later in the fall, those walleye return, late October, November, heading back the other way toward Lake Erie. And then about the middle of December through January, February, the silverfish come in, the steelhead, the kings, and then later in the season we get the cohos, and then we get into April, May, and the walleye come back up.
So it's year-round.
It's year-round. It's awesome.
Right in the backyard.
Yep. It's pretty fun.
As the walleye started rolling in, I talked to Bridget about her passion for fishing.
So what do you like about doing this?
It's just the excitement. I like casinos, and I think this is 10 times better. I get the same adrenaline. My husband says I'm crazy. Yeah, I get crazy.
What a great story theirs is. Rick and Bridget moved here about 5 years ago and didn't really fish at all. Once they noticed all the anglers on the boardwalk in Port Huron fishing from shore, they stopped into their local bait shop for some tips. That's where they met Bob, who not only showed them what gear they needed, but actually came out and showed them how to use it to catch several species of fish in their own backyard. To say they're hooked on fishing would be an understatement. As darkness set in, the fishing just got better. In a couple of hours, they filled their basket with a nice haul. There are opportunities like this in every town on the St. Clair River. From Port Huron down to Algonac, you'll find walleye. So make sure you hit the riverbank this summer for some fishing that's pure Michigan.
A few weeks back found me on the Kalamazoo River getting ready to hit the water.
All right, Jimmy, this is our third time with you this spring trying to schedule a trip. Whether we had cancellation because of snow, cancellation because of rain or something since the last 3 or 4 weeks we've been trying to put this together. So today works with our schedules, with Dan's work and my work, and with you being in Grand Haven already. So we're gonna give it a shot. Try to chase the bass, the largemouth, smallmouth, and the raging Kalamazoo River this afternoon.
She's a little high.
A little high, but we're getting some clarity in the bayous. See how that works today. We try to get a frog bite like we did with you in 2011. I think it was this month in 2011. We'll try to frog bite, but we might have to get a little adventurous today with plastics or whatever. Try to figure out what's going to work today. Well, this time of year the fish are up shallow, so they're cruising. So like your plastic jerk baits, your wacky worms. The wacky worm has been fantastic lately. The patterns that we're going to use today, you can use anywhere in Michigan right now. This isn't so much about being on these bayous and on this body of water right now. You can do this, what we're going to do today, you can do it anywhere.
The nice thing about today's trip was just what Chad was talking about. This isn't specific to this river or these bayous. Most of the tactics the guys were using today would work in many places around the state when chasing bass.
First one. Oh! Well.
Hit it pretty hard though.
Yeah, all right. Strike one, Dano. Yeah. I think it's been 2 minutes. We got the first one taken. All right.
I think I got that one.
So just your typical hollow body frog. When we did that show with you in 2011, we were really pushing the sprill frog. It was really all that was really available, sprill frog and then the scum frog. Now if you go to the sporting goods stores, there's like 15 different type of frogs you can buy now, and there's all kinds of price ranges and their prices. This is something I found at Dick's. Is it a Lily Ninja or something like that? And this year we've been using the popper frogs. The higher water, a little bit colder, it seems to be maybe a little bit more of an attractant, but
Let's see if you can catch that fish again.
Top water is always fun. Tough for the camera, but really fun as the angler. It's pretty hard to beat.
wait till we get them in on the popper, right tight to that piece of scum on the shore.
Oh, nice fish.
So when they want to take it, they like to take it. It is gone. Ooh, he's hooked pretty gnarly. Oh, there we go. Big old double hooks for number 1, Dan.
That's a pretty fish.
Yep. Here we go. That was right tight to a piece of scum. So they're holding tight to the cover so far. The 3 strikes or 4 we've had have been right tight to cover.
Another nice fish. Decent one. Get him up here. Without jumping. There he goes. Oh yeah. Very nice. What'd you catch him on?
Just a plastic swim minnow almost, like a wacky worm, but it's more of a minnow bait. So it kind of does a lot of twisting and turning. I think that's what kind of gets them to react pretty quick.
Nice.
Usually don't have to set the hook too hard on them that way. Kind of chase after it. Just got to make sure to kind of get that hook in there a little bit just to keep it weedless.
So I looked away to adjust the trolling motor, which often happens, which makes you slow down the bait or make it hesitate. That's a nice fish.
Yeah, it is.
Took it on the pause.
Nice. Ooh, he's a dandy.
Barely hooked. I don't want to get any fistful of hooks, but wow, he's barely hooked. There we go. Number 2, Dan, on the frogs.
Bass are fun to fish for because they are aggressive, and even little lakes can hold some big fish. Chad and Dan were starting to figure this bite out here today.
All right, Jimmy, we got another one on the old frog. Just switched out to a frog that was swimming a little bit better. Still a popper frog. Up shallow. There we go.
Good fish.
All righty. Arr.
Nice.
All right, buddy, thank you.
There we go. Finding a few.
Finding a few. Keep picking away at them. I think I'm going to stick with a frog.
Typically, the guys would try to work edges, like you see here on this dock, but sometimes the bite would happen in open water. You just need to cover lots of water to see what they want that day and in what spot. The guys were using medium action rods today, mostly 7-footers, and running 40-pound braid to make sure that they could pull these fish through the weeds and lily pads if need be. But other than heavy line, it's a pretty basic setup.
On the spinnerbait, second cast in the spinnerbait in this dark water, I thought I'd throw something different. The frog isn't quite working. That's a big one. Frog isn't quite working in this crazy wind. First cast.
Well, look at this guy.
Look at this toad. Finally. It's the best one of the day. It's a simple spinnerbait, dark water. Those, what are those, Colorado blades to make the thump, thump, thump? To slow it down. Maybe we got to slow down, Dan.
Yeah. Here, let me get a better look at him.
Oh. Yeah. Arr. He just crushed it halfway to the boat. Wasn't even near the shore.
Nice fish. Best one of the day.
Best one of the day. Right here in the crazy wind.
With lots of wind today and high water, the guys really didn't know what to expect. But we just kept moving and finding a fish here and there, which is a good lesson. Move, move, move. Vary the tackle each spot and find what is working. A river system like this is fun because each bayou and bay, well, it's just a little different than the last one.
We should be getting a lot of frogs in there too, Dan. But it is 2 on the spinnerbait since we got into this darker water. It's being... Oh, come on, dude. Nice hooked.
Just changing some tactics, right?
Changing some tactics. It's a little hard to run the frog and run the motor with the wind, so just trying to slow down a little bit the spinnerbait. That's 2 in a few minutes since we got into.
And you said a lot of this is just normally ground here, right?
Yeah, a lot of where we're trying to fish is just usually bottom. We can't get in here now. Well, it's 2 or 3 feet higher. Dan, there you go. Dan just got one on the frog.
Just a tiny one. He engulfed it though. Yeah. Wow. Both hooks all the way down.
We fished for most of the afternoon and did quite well. Plenty of fish, a few nice ones, and overall a great way to spend a day on the river, with again tactics that should work across the state.
Yeah, the wind was a struggle. Big east wind, which is not the greatest where we're at right now. But we did scratch out a nice a nice group of fish. So we found the pockets were a little bit calmer, a little bit warmer water, and threw the frogs up in there, and we got, I don't know, a dozen nice takers, lost some big fish, a couple little guys. When things got to be a struggle, we threw spinner baits, and then what were you throwing? A jerk minnow? Yeah, that KVD, Strike King, jerk minnow, that worked out well too. So the pattern we were on today can happen anywhere in Michigan right now. It's all about the water temperature, the springtime bass starting to come up to do their spawn. So it's not just about being on this spot, but it's about being on the water right now in Michigan.
And having to adapt to conditions, right?
Oh yeah, adapt to conditions. We really had to do that today. When we fished with you before, it was flat, calm, and hot, so it was pretty easy to do the bass fish, but today we really had to change up our tactics to deal with the wind.
And the high water.
Oh yeah, it's true. Forget about that. That water is unusually high this year. So we were actually fishing in spots where we haven't been able to fish before because the water's so high.
Nice. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. Good time.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're back over here at Williams Gun Sight this week. We're here with Rob Cans, who is a gunsmith extraordinaire. I've had you on the show for years and years, and just wanted to kind of stop in today, Rob, and talk a little bit about rifle maintenance. We're here in the middle of the summer. Probably not everybody is thinking rifles, but probably some of the folks that are heading out west to do some big game hunting are. What are some things we could be doing, guys like me that don't probably pay enough attention to their guns? What could we be doing in the summer to make sure they're ready for season?
Well, getting them out right now is really the first thing to get done. Make sure you get them out of your cases, look them over really well. Check them for rust. It's a big one that we get. You know, a couple days before opener, people show up with guns that have been in their cases all summer, haven't been shot or looked at all, and they've got rust either in them or on them. So
now, do a lot of people keep their guns in cases? It's not a. I mean, what would you recommend for that?
Yeah, your case will hold moisture. That's one of the big problems. So keeping them in a case is a difficulty. Not everybody has a safe, mind you, but if you're going to store a gun in a case, make sure that it's dry first. Then spray it down with a good silicone product out on the market, and let it dry and cure for a couple of days, and put your guns in that, and it should be a lot better. You know, granted, you need to wipe your guns down with oil, both inside and out.
Yeah, talk about maybe a little bit about that, because I know, again, I'm probably the poster child for not treating all my guns the right way. I do wipe them down, but how often should you be doing, you know, the action, the barrel? How often should we clean it? Every time we shoot it? Or?
Generally, every time you shoot it, you should clean it and wipe it down. You don't have to go crazy with cleaning it, so long as you swab the bore with some solvent, and then dry it out and use preservative oil. There are quite a few really good ones on the market nowadays. And then wiping it down, again, every time you handle it. So if you get it out and show it to a buddy, wipe it down when you put it away, because people have salt and acids in their hands, and that will corrode a gun pretty rapidly in some cases.
Okay. And any tips on the guys that are going to be heading out west? Anything they should be doing to their guns this time of year, because they're only a month or so away from heading out there?
Yeah, actually, there's a couple of really important things. Anybody who's going to hunt in the cold, whether it's out west or here, you need to make sure your gun is not over lubricated. That's a really big one. Oil will turn into a kind of a sludgy product when it gets cold and can cause misfires. Semi-autos, it can cause them to fail the cycle too. But one of the big things is if you're going out west, that usually means higher elevations. That changes the ballistics of your gun quite a lot. So if you're sighting in your gun here, that same sight-in won't count out there, because the air is a lot thinner in higher elevation. Usually it's drier out there too, and that matters for humidity.
Now, you guys offer some services here, other places do too, but for accuracy, when it comes to like a trigger job, maybe explain to our viewers that don't know exactly what that entails. Why does that help a gun?
Well, if you look at a lot of the factory triggers, are quite heavy by certain standards. A lot of guns out of the box will have a trigger pull of about 7 pounds. It's pretty common. The pull is also long, and sometimes it's what's referred to as being creepy, where it'll move and stop and move and stop, and then it'll fire at some point. You don't want to have to do that. You don't want to have to concentrate on how you're pulling the trigger. You just need to pull it, and it's supposed to basically break like you're breaking a glass rod. So when we do a trigger job, we smooth the contact surfaces down to, say, 1500 grit, 2000 grit, so it's mirror-like. So there are no striations across the sear surface. Then you adjust the sear tension and the amount of take-up on the sear surface, so there's minimal movement as well, all maintaining safety at the same time.
Okay, so we get down that to like 3 pound-ish, is that what you're...
2.5 to 3 pounds is a good weight for most people. Myself, I shoot about 1.5 pounds. but I shoot more than the average individual. But yeah, the 3-pound trigger pull is very acceptable.
Okay, well there you go, right here from the gunsmith's, just right here at his desk, and lots of good things to think about as we're getting ready for the upcoming deer season, even though we're here in the middle of the summer. Some good tips for us. Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you check us out online next time you get a chance. There's a few different ways you can do that. Our website is michiganoutofdoorstv.com. You can check out old episodes, this week's episode. All of our wild game recipes are on the website as well. Or you can check us out on social media. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all over the place, letting you know where we are and where we're headed next. Speaking of where we're headed next, we've got a lot of fun in store for you this summer.
Well, that's right, Jenny. Lots of good stuff coming over the next several weeks here in Michigan Out of Doors. We're going to be up in Detour. We're going to be down on Lake Erie. We're going to follow up with those turtle trapping twins from a few years ago. Lots of good stuff coming over the next several weeks. Make sure that you join us. And if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or greenstonefcs.com. Michigan's hunters and anglers are essential partners to the health of the state's wildlife and habitats. The Michigan Wildlife Council is dedicated to ensuring our hunting and fishing heritage and Michigan's natural resources are preserved for future generations. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. With its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses, Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises on the web at picturedrocks.com. Closed captioning provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine.